Hello guys, it's Able Project. Alex Able here with Fraser Doherty, who's my guest today. Hello.
Nice to meet you.
I'm going to interview him and basically we'll get to know you as a SuperJam boy and maybe much more than that, hopefully. So can you draw a mind map of yourself, please?
Do you want me to talk you through it as I...
Oh yeah, if you don't mind, just...
Well, I guess the first thing is SuperJam.
SuperJam.
Which is...
Do you eat some other jam or no?
Yeah, I eat jam for breakfast.
Some other jam or your jam?
I do try out competitors' jam to see if they have any good ideas.
And Gordon Brown said that he got an amazing story to tell. What's the story?
So when I was 14 years old, I was visiting my grandmother and she was making jam in her kitchen just in the same way as she had for as long as I can remember. And I got really excited about it and asked my gran to teach me how to make jam. And we spent the afternoon making a few pots together, and I started making jam in the kitchen and selling it to the neighbours and at farmers markets and to little shops. And over the course of a few years it grew and got to the point I was making about 1,000 jars of jam a week in my parents' kitchen. And I later came up with an idea to try and make jam 100% from fruit, so without adding any sugar, and it's kind of all natural. Okay. And about 5 years ago now we managed to get SuperJam into all of the big supermarkets in the UK. We now supply something like 2,500 supermarkets in 6 countries. We've sold millions and millions of jars of jam, and it's been an incredible adventure.
I see. So you just quit at school in order to pursue your dream, in order to do jam?
Yeah, well, when I was 16 I decided I would leave school to start making jam full time in my parents' tiny little kitchen. And I had done all of my exams, so I wasn't dropping out of school, but I really wanted to just spend all of my time doing something that I loved. And thankfully my parents always told me that you should just do what you love in life, and you know, if you get up in the morning and do something that you enjoy, then that's success.
Yeah, that's quite a good thing. So basically, at first you were very small, and then in order to produce jam, how did you find capital? What did you do? How did you talk to some other factories? Do you have your own factory now? How do you produce?
Sure, well, when I wanted to try and get SuperJam into the big supermarkets, I was obviously going to have to move production into a factory. And I began by travelling around the country, from little islands in Scotland to big cities in England, trying to find somebody that would be willing to work with me to make this SuperJam. And as I'm sure you can imagine, most of these huge companies were a bit sceptical of a 17-year-old turning up with no money and no experience.
And just a bright idea. And
yeah, exactly. And eventually I found one factory that really believed in the idea, and they were willing to give it a shot, and you know, they risked some money on my idea and were willing to produce it for me. And I think it was just finding one person in that company that believed in the idea enough that meant that they were willing to work with me to make SuperJam on a big scale. I
see. You also worked with an ad company to get the image of it, and you decided to be a Superman boy, like yeah, Superman. How's it called?
Yeah, Superman. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, how was this experience? And then they turned it down, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I found an ad agency to work with me to design the SuperJam branding, and originally I thought that packaging should make people laugh, and if you make them laugh enough then maybe they'll buy your product. And so I spent a few months working with this ad agency, and we figured that there was a link between SuperJam and Superman, and we decided to create the brand around a kind of comic book theme. And we had a lot of fun writing jokes on the labels, and we kind of spoke about making a superhero costume for me, the jam boy, to wear at the launch of the whole thing. And so we then had these labels that were really funny and that everybody thought were great, and unfortunately when I showed them to the supermarket buyers, they explained that they were a bit ridiculous. And
as you participate in Able Project, and one of the things you wrote here is inspire others basically to follow their dreams and so on. So that's what you do as well now?
Yeah, I mean, I get invited to speak at events all over the world, to kids and to students and to all kinds of different people who maybe want to start their own business or have an idea but don't know where to start. And I've also written a book called SuperBusiness, which is kind of my story and everything that I've learned along the way. And I wouldn't pretend to be any kind of genius or any kind of expert in anything, but I've had this amazing adventure over the past 8 years, and I've learned a huge amount from it. And if I can use my story to encourage other people to give their ideas a shot, then that's a great thing.
I think that's really good, because you give something back to the community, back to people. And basically, how was the experience of writing a book?
Yeah, writing the book's been a lot of fun. And
How do you put thoughts in chapters? I don't understand. Even if I write something, it will be just this here, this there, you know? How do you organize it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just wanted to follow the journey that I've been on from start to finish, and you know, it began on such a small scale in my parents' kitchen, and it's grown into a company that, you know, now supplies thousands of supermarkets. And there were so many steps along the way, and so many things that I got wrong, so many mistakes I made, and lots of funny adventures along the way too. And I just wanted to kind of share those with other people. The book's done really well. It's been translated into Korean and Brazil. You know, it's on sale in Brazil, and it's been amazing.
I see. What were your basically 3 biggest successes? Maybe not 3, but some biggest successes and biggest failures that you laugh about, or just say, I regret this, but what were they?
Yeah, I think the 3 biggest successes, I guess, would have been just the day that I could go into Waitrose and see my product on the shelves of a major supermarket. That was the most amazing moment. You know, that was everything that I had worked towards for years and years, and you know, finally it was there, and I felt like I'd achieved everything I set out to.
Did you see somebody just grabbing a thing and buying as well?
Yeah, I mean, in the store that I visited in Edinburgh, where I'm from, they sold 1,500 jars of SuperJam on that first day, which was more jam than they would normally sell in a month. They'd never seen anything like it. And I think after that, SuperJam's, you know, been given about 20 different awards for all kinds of different things, and that's been a lot of fun. And SuperJam was even put into the National Museum of Scotland as an example of an iconic Scottish brand, alongside Irn Bru and Baxters and Tunnock's tea cakes.
That's well done.
Thank you.
Well done for you. Okay, what about failures?
Yeah, I mean, you make failures all the time, and you make mistakes every day, and if you're not making lots of mistakes, then I think you're probably not pushing yourself as much as you could. But I guess the biggest mistakes that I made, you know, were definitely getting the packaging wrong. You know, I learned that a brand should have one message, and it should just put all of its effort into telling that one message really clearly and really simply, and I didn't get that right first time round. We also got the factory wrong at the beginning. You know, the first factory I chose was too expensive. I didn't really think properly about what price should the product end up selling for, and you know, by the time the supermarket makes a margin and I make a margin, what should the cost price be? I just figured if we made a great product and put it on the shelves, then people would buy it whatever price it was.
So you didn't bring the accountants in yet?
Yeah.
at that stage. Okay. I see such a thing that a lot of entrepreneurs in UK are much more open than entrepreneurs in Russia. Even we call them businessmen in Russia, not entrepreneurs. Why is this like this? Why do you want to teach the world something and our Russian people not really? They're kind of in a different world.
I think a lot of the time I meet people who have an idea to start a business, and I say, "What's your idea?" And they say, "I'm not going to tell you in case you steal it." And I think that's completely the wrong approach to take. I think the more honest and open you are with your ideas, you know, the more chance you have of succeeding. And for example, if you go around and tell everybody your idea, you might just meet somebody who gives you a better idea, or who says, "Oh, you must meet this guy, he'll help you." So I think if you're really open and honest with everybody, then that's the best way to be.
So basically, friendliness is a key to success as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good. So you were in Moscow. What did you do there? How was it?
Yeah, we launched SuperJam in Russia, so
done.
we've got into quite a few stores.
Which stores are you selling in? Do you remember the name?
Lots of independent stores at the moment.
Check it out.
Yeah. And I was also invited to give 3 or 4 speeches at universities, and got to share my story with some Russian entrepreneurs, which was pretty cool. And there were definitely some great ideas. I think Russia is changing really fast, and in a lot of ways, people were able to see ideas that have already been a success in the West, and then
that's what they do most of the time. Just make Facebook Russian Facebook, and that's a multi-billion company now.
Yeah.
Okay. What were the brightest ideas that you've heard that were told to you, basically?
There were. I'm always really excited about ideas around food, and I think that the kind of food market in Russia is probably. For a long time, most of the premium brands were imported, but now there are domestic brands that are, quality luxury brands that people are creating. So I met one guy who was keeping bees in, some remote part of Russia, and selling this really great honey in Moscow, which was which was amazing. I think a lot of people probably wouldn't trust buying local honey in Russia. Maybe they would be worried that it wasn't really honey. And he was able to create a brand that people could trust, and I think that's really powerful.
Okay. Basically, my family company as well as wine company, and we've made a new brand. And basically, what we did, we invited French people, such as French winemakers and so on. So basically, it can be just French wine made in Russia, and I'm sure I'm going to bring you well next time I come.
Yeah.
Ambitions. What are your plans? Because SuperJam is there, it's selling. You need to develop as well. Just what did you think about? Maybe some new ideas, maybe the development of this brand?
Sure.
What was this?
Yeah, I mean, SuperJam's growing really fast, and we're launching in new countries all the time. Going to Denmark tomorrow to launch in 400 supermarkets there. We're about to launch in America and in Canada, so there's a huge market over there. But apart from that, we're developing lots of new products, so a range of jams for kids, and then there's all kinds of gifts that we're creating for like Christmas and Easter and Mother's Day and Father's Day and Pancake Day and all kinds of things like that. So yeah, I've got loads and loads of ideas and a lot of energy to keep it growing.
I see. Did you change personally? You're now 22 years old, and when you started you were 14 years old. Did you change personally? Maybe when money came in you became a bit different, because for those people it is like this, or are you staying the same person, or just what happened in you?
Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot, so I've developed a huge amount as a person, and I think I've had an incredible experience over the past few years that I'm really grateful of. But for me, like, it's never been about trying to make lots of money. I've never really had ambitions to buy a fast car or a big house or anything like that. For me, it's just really exciting to create a product that people love. I love the idea that hundreds of thousands of people put something that I created on their toast every morning.
Yeah, that's really good. What about charity? I know you run tea parties. Can you tell more about them?
Sure. We've been running tea parties for the elderly for about 2 years, and the whole idea was inspired by my grandmother. And when I was a kid, she would make jam and scones and cakes, and she'd visit lots of older people in her area who were maybe living alone or in care homes, and she'd take my brother and I with her, and it was just something that my gran felt strongly about. So I thought it'd be nice to try and do something like that on a big scale. And for the past couple of years, we've been running SuperJam Tea Parties in community centres and schools all around the UK. We've, in the past year, had over 100 events. The biggest ones have about 600 people at them.
That's good.
We're about to start having them in Finland, in Australia, and hopefully one day in Russia as well.
Yeah, I can help you with that somehow.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, basically, do people contact you and say, I want to organise a tea party in my country? How does it work?
Yeah,
because you cannot organise 100 parties by yourself.
No, it's entirely run by volunteers, and there are people getting in touch every day from all over the place, wanting to set them up in their own communities, and I think that's great. I've just given them an idea, and we send them some jam and some money for cakes, and they find somewhere to put the tea party on and invite some elderly people along and have a great afternoon. And again, it's not really about money. It doesn't cost a huge amount of money. It's just about spending time with people who are very lonely.
Yeah, so bringing joy to people as well. Do you enjoy every part of the working process? I know that for you business is a lot of fun, but when accounts come in and so much stuff, do you still enjoy everything or not?
Running my own business is a huge amount of fun, and I've had a great adventure, and I definitely get up in the morning every day and do something that I love. But I'm not going to pretend that it was easy. I'm not going to pretend that every single day is a lot of fun. There are days when things go wrong, and the challenge of being an entrepreneur is, just dealing with the things that go wrong and being able to pick yourself up again and keep going.
I see. Do you employ a lot of people?
There's 8 people work for SuperJam, so not a huge team, and they are mostly designing new products, and some of them are organising the tea parties. We've got somebody working in America full time trying to set SuperJam up there, and then there are also some people who just go around supermarket stores handing out samples. And
how do you choose your employees? Do you choose them basically if they got good education, or if they like the brand more? Just what's your way?
Yeah, for me the most important thing is that somebody is going to be passionate about what we do. And for example, the people who are standing in the supermarket handing out samples are all people who came to us because they loved the product and they loved the brand. And I think there's nothing better than somebody trying to sell a product if they buy it themselves and they really, really believe in it.
I see. Basically, you're one of the examples, like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg and so on, who didn't complete their studies, so you didn't go to university. I'm in university now, and I'm just thinking, does education really matter? Or it matters what you do, and basically, anyway, you're going to do this, and what's your opinion about education?
I don't think there are any rules. There are some people who didn't go to university and have been a success, and there are plenty of people who did go to university and have been a success.
So everybody has their own way.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that you discover what you're passionate about, and if you're passionate about medicine, then you're probably going to have to go to university. But if you're passionate about, some other thing you don't have to go to university for, then that's fine too.
Basically, I went to a lecture in LSE. A Polish businessman came to speak. Leszek Czarnecki, his name was. He's a billionaire. And when I asked him about education, he said that basically it's like skiing. You can learn how to ski with a coach, with a trainer, or without him. And basically, that's the right approach, I think. So you want to give other people a chance in terms of charities, and is it only about grandmothers and so on, or maybe some other people, some young people? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people who come to me with an idea, and I'm always happy to give them advice and share what I've learned with them. But for example, at our warehouse where all of the orders for SuperJam get packed up, we employ lots of disabled people who otherwise wouldn't have a lot to do with their day. And that feels great to be able to give them something to do, and they really, really are excited about what they're doing, and I feel really proud that we're able to give them a job. I
see. What about fun? Business is fun, but still there should be some other fun in life. So what's this? You're writing a novel?
I travel.
Travel. Okay, you travel. You've been in Moscow, now you're going to Denmark tomorrow. Yeah. Which places did you visit, and what were the most exciting ones?
Yeah, I mean, I've probably visited, I think, like 32, 33 countries so far, so there's plenty more places to go, but I've really enjoyed visiting Asia, visiting places like China, where things are so different to here. I find that fascinating. I love Vietnamese food. We're in the Vietnamese part of London just now, and we have Vietnamese food for lunch every day, and I found that a fascinating place to go as well. But yeah, I just always love going and seeing ways that other people live, and just seeing what else there is in the world.
I see. Do you think that SuperJam can be a big success in China?
Unfortunately, when I was in China, somebody said Chinese people eat everything, but we don't really eat jam.
But basically, if you promote it in an English way and say that that's from England and so on, so
yeah, maybe.
I see. You moved from Scotland to, basically from Edinburgh to London. Why did you move here? Because it's the business centre, or maybe there were some other motives?
Sure, yeah, I spend a lot of my time in Scotland still, where I'm from, and I also have to spend a lot of time in London. I think 40% of all of our sales are in London.
Okay.
All the supermarkets are here, all the media is here, so a lot of the stuff that we're working on is based in London.
I see. What about this, Valerie?
Yeah, I've got a 40-year-old VW camper van called Valerie, and I love going for road trips in the countryside and going to little villages and finding amazing food, and taking some friends and just having a little trip. I really enjoy doing that.
Democracy in workplace, I think that's what you're into as well, because you got the people who are passionate about the thing. Have you heard of Ricardo Sandler? Basically what he did, he set up a very big company in Brazil where everything is like democratic and so on, so everybody loves their jobs and so on. Do you see this joy in the people every day as well, or just they're passionate about the thing in the first month and they're a bit kind of out of it afterwards?
The thing that motivates me is, first of all, I feel like I'm doing what I should be doing with my life, but I also get a huge sense of satisfaction when I go into a supermarket or a department store and I see something that we created on the shelf. That just feels amazing, and I want to try and create an environment where we can give that feeling to the people that are working with me. So if they're designing a new product and finally it gets onto the shelf, I want them to have all of the excitement of feeling that was their idea, that was their baby.
I see. So you received lots of awards, you gave lots of speeches, but basically the most important award I think is the global student entrepreneur.
That's right. Yeah.
And how did you feel when you received this award? Because you were the first one who received it not in North America. Yeah. So how did you feel?
Sure, yeah.
Basically, what did you jump?
I mean, the Global Student Entrepreneur of the Year Award was a competition where I think 700 students from all around the world were asked to do a pitch about their business to a panel of judges, and the judges were really, really successful entrepreneurs, and they had great questions, and most of the students in the competition were running .com businesses, software companies. Some of them had invented these electronic gadgets that nobody could really understand, and I was there selling jam and amazingly won the awards, and I got to meet some other entrepreneurs who were doing some really cool things, but I think the moral of that story was that your idea doesn't necessarily have to be high-tech, it doesn't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel, and it's possible to make something extraordinary out of something as ordinary as jam.
I see. So basically, what kind of advice could you give to young entrepreneurs, young people who are just starting their thing or didn't find their path in life?
I think the best advice I could give would be not to be afraid. I think so many people have a great idea, or they have a feeling that they want to start a business, but they're just afraid to even take the first steps and give it a shot, and I think that's a real shame. I would say start small. I think a lot of people try and jump in at the deep end and try and borrow lots of money, and I think just make a few, sell them on a farmer's market, and if people like them, make some more. If they don't, try something else. But probably the best help and support I had was from having a mentor, a guy called Kevin, who had set up a successful business supplying supermarkets, and he just gave me a lot of advice about how supermarkets worked. So I would say to anybody out there to try and find a mentor who can give you advice and show you the lessons that they have learned and tell you about mistakes that they've made.
I see. Is your mentor your friend?
Yeah, my mentor's my friend now, but I met him when I was about 15 years old, and
wow, that's quite a long way, 7 years.
Yeah, and I think he just read about my story, and it reminded him of himself. He had started out selling stuff door to door as a kid, and now he'd built a multi-million-pound company, and he just spent a few hours with me and just told me about how supermarkets worked, how packaging works, and that was advice that nobody else could have given me. And I think there's a huge amount of support for anybody who wants to start a business. If you go and find people like him and ask their advice, they're usually more than happy to give it to you.
I see. How did you find your mentor, and how can people just find a mentor, the right mentor, basically?
Yeah, I think, again, just don't be afraid. I think if you see a company that you admire or an entrepreneur that you respect, don't be afraid of just sending them an email saying, look, I've got this idea, can I have 10 minutes of your time to ask them some questions? And don't just turn up there and have no questions, but have some really to the point questions things that you really can't figure out yourself, and I think they'll respect it if you don't waste their time and respect the fact that they're busy people and they're giving up their time for nothing.
I see. One of the final questions, what does your mentor say now? Because he's seen you, is it a multi-million company or million company?
Yeah, we sell more than 1 million jars of jam a year.
Okay, then it's a multi-million company. Basically, what does he say now? Is he proud? What are his feelings? Basically, I think you talked about this with him.
Yeah, I mean, for my mentor, for my gran, for my parents, for my friends, for everybody, it's been an amazing adventure all along the way, and I couldn't have done it without all of them, and they're all really proud of what's happened.
I see. So, I want to thank you very much for giving the interview. Basically, you inspire people, and as I told you in the beginning, basically we were not recording that, we saw your story even doing A-level, so yesterday I was like, yes, I'm filming the A-level guy. So thank you very much. What I'm going to ask you now is to write, you are able to...
Sure.
Do it on your own, believe in yourself, do it as you see, keep holding it on, do it, don't be late, don't waste your time, do it, rock the world, keep moving it right, do it on your own, believe in yourself, do it as you see, keep holding it on, do it, don't be late, don't waste your time, do it, rock the world, keep moving it right. When you do it right, do it day and night.